Well, welcome everyone. I'm sitting here with our director of the work, our Parish Life Coordinator, Katie Jansen, and Chris Tkach, who is the chair of our Finance Commission. I'm Angela Pansella, the director of stewardship, and we wanted to take a moment to kind of help people understand where we are as a parish right now at this very moment. So, Katie, I'm going to start with you because you are entering into your second year now as Parish Life Coordinator. So tell us how things are going.
Well, I would say it has been quite a year. I think overall things are going really, really well. But as you both know, as the parish knows, it's also been a very busy year, especially with all things new where it is at this moment. So we know that on May 28th, there will be the big announcements about the reorganization of the Archdiocese. And one thing that I think is interesting is this reorganization. Parishes will be organized into pastorates. And so a pastorate could be one parish or it could be a grouping of parishes. And priests will be assigned to pastorates versus to parishes. So what we know about College Church is that we will remain our own pastorate and that the Jesuits will continue to staff College Church. So in that sense, we won't see much change. But I think there's no parish in the diocese that isn't touched by all things new because of the big changes. And I think for us, it's really been, in some ways, an opportunity to strengthen our relationship with neighboring parishes, especially in the North City Deanery, to really build up those relationships, but with other parishes in the diocese as well. We're kind of all going through this together and all trying to figure it out together. And so it's really sparked a lot of really good conversation, not that it's not also painful. But I am grateful for the opportunity to feel more a part and connected to the diocese. And in fact, as we continue to try to be a synodal parish, a parish that journeys together, that listens to one another in order to listen to the Holy Spirit, other churches are seeing what we're doing and they want to do it too, especially in this moment. So I have had that opportunity to meet with 3 parishes on the south side who will be coming together in a new pastorate, who said, we'd like to do this synodal listening as well as a way to hear people's desires and dreams for their parish, but also to invite their gifts because they see the strong leadership that we have here at College Church. We've got incredible parishioners doing amazing things, and people want what we have. Which I understand. I also had the opportunity to meet with the Archbishop and Chris Martin, Father Chris Martin. They actually asked me to come in instead of me asking them if I could come in to talk about synodal listening as a part of the next phase of all things new. So I think it just says a lot for what our parish has done to really try to build community and to imagine a new way to be church that doesn't come from a place of scarcity,
right,
or a lack of something. Right. And then there are a couple of other highlights that I really want to talk about related to the ministries in the parish. Everyone knows that our outreach program, our birth certificate and ID program, is strong and is very important to the parish. But under the leadership of Christine Dragonette, it continues to expand. We, for a long time, we do such good work here on Tuesdays, but we are also a bottleneck because no one else does that work. And especially during the pandemic, we saw what a problem that was, that if we were closed, people didn't have access to this really needed service. And so Christine has raised money and created a plan to train other organizations to do what we do. And there's actually a collaborative team that has been formed around that, so that now there are more organizations providing this service after we have kind of given them the tools that they need to get going. And Madeline Powers, who's also a parishioner, we hired her as our regional access coordinator. And so she's been really leading that work, and it's been really great. Another big thing this year is we have a new young adult group that is called College Church Young Professionals. need to make sure I get the name right. Sandy Hawk brought that group together. It's really strong leaders, young adult leaders, who have been meeting monthly now for a while and are inviting new young adults into the group. Sandy has also reorganized our marriage prep class, and I actually get to go through that class as an engaged person, to be over 4 months, one Sunday a month, so that people have the opportunity, engaged couples have the opportunity to get to know one another better and to share faith more, so that it's more of a formative experience rather than just a check the box, I did marriage prep, now I'm done. That's been really, really fun. And then youth faith, as always, is strong and I think really valued by the parish. And I thought one thing that was really new and exciting this year were the family masses.
Yes.
And getting to have more young people, more families participate in more ways during the liturgy. And a special thanks to Meg Bug, a parishioner who came to all of those masses to prep our young people in speaking and all the liturgical roles. And then, of course, we're doing our anti-racism work, and we are our anti-racism team. We are forming ourselves in how to lead a racial equity review of the parish. And that has been really challenging and pretty transformative. And so I look forward to the opportunity when that becomes something that engages a lot more parishioners, which will be in the near future. And then finally, a shout out to our Pastoral Care Commission and their really great speaker series this year. What a fantastic group of parishioner leaders who really put this together just based on their own knowledge of what seniors in particular need in the parish and ways that we can serve them. So those are a few of the highlights, I would say, over the past year.
Thank you. And Chris, I know, and I don't know if everyone knows this, we actually have a fiscal year that is different from the calendar year here at College Church. We go July 1st to June 30th. And this is the time of year that the Finance Commission is working diligently on the budget and reviewing how things went last year. Can you give us kind of the financial picture of the church right now?
Sure. Yeah. So we're currently wrapping up the fiscal year. We're about 1 month out, and we've kind of put together some projections as we plan for the budget going forward. As we look at our current fiscal year ending numbers, it does appear that we're going to be right at our budgetary net income number. And so we were anticipating having a deficit this year of just around $50,000. And that is really tied to the fact that we were planning for costs to increase fairly substantially with inflation. We did give an inflationary cost of living adjustment to all of the employees at College Church. That is a stark contrast to what was provided during the pandemic, which was basically little or no raises during that 2-year period. And ending this year, around budget is great. Now, looking at the numbers and how we arrived there, it wasn't necessarily how we expected. So when we look at our cost numbers, we were actually well under budget, around $50,000 under budget in our costs. And that was predominantly related to the fact that we had a lot of understaffing in various positions throughout the year during this fiscal year. And so, that caused additional work for our the current employees, the employees that were there, additional, I would say probably stress as they were covering those particular roles. But from a budgetary standpoint, very positive because it ended up resulting in lower costs overall. Now, when we look at our budget in revenue, though, that is where we also saw that we were about $50,000 under budget. And so when we budgeted our revenue numbers, we did plan to or budget our revenue numbers increasing kind of in line with our cost increasing with regard to inflation. In looking specifically at some of the line items in there, we are seeing a reduction in several line items. Or not necessarily a reduction, but that the numbers aren't really hitting budget as we expected. Offertory being the primary one, We're seeing a slight increase in offertory year over year, but we did plan for an 8% increase in offertory, really to try to keep up with inflation, which we were seeing between 7 and 10%. And we did not see that actually hit in the current year. We also saw fundraising slightly down in comparison to the year before, and our wedding revenue continues to decline, which is kind of in line with what we're seeing in the Catholic Church as a whole, as there's fewer and fewer church weddings, which is a significant revenue component. And so looking at those revenue numbers, that is what concerns me the most, because Katie laid out a lot of wonderful things that we're doing, a lot of wonderful ministries, growth in those ministries, and excitement around those ministries. But that has a cost. Everything that we do has a cost. There's salary costs, there's other cost supplies that go along with that. And if we are unable to increase our revenue numbers, specifically offertory, which ends up being really the lifeblood of the parish, because that's what we're seeing and using as our cash flow on a regular basis, that will have negative impacts for us long term, as we need to get to a point that we're at a point that we're not budgeting a deficit and not running through our reserves. Now, the St. Francis Xavier is blessed by the fact that we do have reserves. This isn't necessarily a panic moment for our parish, but it's something that we need to turn the ship in the near term so that we don't get into a position where we are in a panic mode.
Let's talk a little bit about one of those ways that we were looking to address this. We started the increased offertory program, Journeying Together in the Spirit. Katie, can you talk a little bit about our plans for that going forward?
Yeah, so this year was the first year that we have done such an intentional increased offertory campaign. So thanks to the Development Commission for really making that possible and doing something that we've been talking about for years and actually put into practice this year for the first time. And we did see people respond to that and increase their offertory giving or make a one-time gift, which we are truly grateful for. And so we want to continue to do this kind of campaign into the next year as well. We know that, seeing this increased giving kind of happens over time. A person might make a commitment in 1 month and then it kicks in a few months later. So we really want to see this continue to grow because offertory is so important to our parish. And it's the way that we really invest in our own ministries and in the direction of the parish.
So with our background in Ignatian spirituality, we have a real sense of discernment as a parish. So what are we thinking at the moment, and what might we be discerning for the future? What do we need from parishioners at this point?
I think we continue to be in a pretty exciting time as far as we really are, I think, imagining with the broader church, what does the future church look like? We can wring our hands about a priest shortage, but we don't have a talent shortage in our churches. We don't have a lack of gifts. We don't have a lack of people who feel called to serve in some way. So we as College Church will continue to live into this new way of being that where the priest is still very important, but isn't the most important, right? That all of our parishioners have something truly valuable to offer. So we're going to continue to try to live into that, into this synodal way of being together. And what we really need, especially at this time, is for people to invest in that possibility through offertory giving. And to the people who have responded to our request, thank you so much for that. And to folks who have been thinking about it, or maybe you're new to the parish, or maybe you're younger and this isn't something that you've really ever done before, even a gift of $15 a month, or $20 a month really makes a difference to us. So to just begin to set up online giving, or if you've been giving for a long time and maybe haven't reconsidered your gifts since inflation has been what it is, maybe take a look at that and and reconsider what you might be willing to give to support this new way of us being together.
And for my part, I'll say just continue to spread the word about what a wonderful parish we have, because it is a beautiful thing to share with so many very talented and spirit-filled individuals like the folks that are around this table. Chris,
Well,
Katie?
Yeah, and let me just say one other thing about that. You all can rest assured that financially speaking, our parish is in good hands. Our finance committee is such a gift. I'm not an accountant. I learned budgeting by, being in charge of an organization and having to figure it out. But Chris Tkach and the rest of the finance committee are incredibly talented. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to give them a stack of spreadsheets and then have them report back to me what it all says and what the most important thing is. So thank you so much for coming today, Chris, and sharing with the parish the same thing that you've been sharing with me and the other leaders in the parish about our financial situation.
Well, thank you for your leadership. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
And if you are wondering about how to make an online gift, you can always reach out to the parish or check out our website, sfxstl.org.